Hello Moonshines and welcome back to the channel. Today I will actually be doing something different from my normal storytelling videos. I'm going to start introducing you to some of the characters as I get reference sheets for them done in a group. Starting with this group, it will be a character sheet for Ripple and her family, these being Luna, Ragnar, Crescent, Asher, and Loon. This way going forward, you will be able to have a visualization of the characters themselves. I know I haven't been giving too much of a description when it came to the ancients or to the wolves themselves in Ripple's family. So this way I can give a better representation of the visualization and appearance of the characters rather than trying to describe it in text. Starting off, we have Ripple. Now, the reference sheet is going to give away what her guardian name will be, and that's fine, honestly, as it was kind of implied by one of the marks on her coat coloring. Ripple is a kind of chocolate brown and white she-cat with two-tone green eyes that kind of fade into each other, with the lighter being on top and the darker coloring on the bottom. The white coloration of her pattern is going to be on her muzzle, the tip of her tail, her fore right paw, and her hind left paw, with the little white heart on her fore left leg. She also has a white underbelly. During the description of Eclipse in one of the chapters, it is given information that Ripple looks almost exactly in the same coloration as Eclipse, other than one specific marking that is on the opposite side. So that is reference to the heart mark on Ripple. It would be on the right foreleg of Eclipse. Now getting into some of the background stuff in regards to Ripple, age, things regarding her family, things like that. Ripple is just barely 6 moons old, 6 moon cycles old. She was initially found on the day she was born by Luna and Ragnar. Well, by Ragnar, because Luna was nursing back in the den. And she had been abandoned by her birth mother after her 2 siblings were stillborn. And she decided that she did not have the capacity needed mentally or emotionally, nor did she have the physical well-being to be able to bring up a kit on her own. So she made the decision to abandon Ripple in the snow and cover her, hoping that she would freeze to death fairly soon, not thinking that someone would come after her and end up finding the abandoned kit. A few of Ripple's gifts that have been seen in the current chapters are ones that her family do know of. Some of them are passive, while some of them are not exactly passive, but require contact to do so. In regards to the latter, that would be like when Ivy Nose had that strange sensation of her voice crossing his mind without her having spoken while they were in contact, and the fact that his senses heightened after the fact. That is one of her gifts, that she must come into physical contact with the other party to be able to use it. As for the passive ones, one of the ones that has been shown would be like her dreams. She has foretelling dreams, and she gets warnings or little snippets of things that could potentially happen in the future. At the time she sees them in her dream, they are not set in stone. It is just, if things continue as they go currently, they will reach that future, but it is able to be diverted. To others, Ripple would have a bit of a strange personality, especially to other cats. Granted, she was raised by wolves, so her tendencies or how she interacts with others comes more from things that she inherited or picked up from her wolf family. They tend to be a bit closer, and show kinship more to those that they feel close to or care about in this case. As for her interaction with Ivy Nose to start off with, it may come across as strange that she seemed so fond of a cat that she had just met, but to Ripple, she had seen something in him that stood out of all the cats that had come to welcome them. And whatever it was that stood out immediately made her feel safe with him. As for Ripple's personality, I won't get too much into it since she is one of the main characters being followed throughout the story. So information on her will come as the chapters are released because you will get to know and understand her more. So next we're going to go ahead and move on to Luna and Loon. Starting off with Loon. Loon has very much similar coloration and patterning to Ripple, as that is the main thing that he inherited from Eclipse would be the coat color. It is something that the descendants will pick up occasionally, but in Luna's case, she does not have it. She carries more of the coat color from her father's side of the family. Now, with Loon and Luna, it's a bit of a special case. On Loon's right shoulder, his right foreshoulder, you will see the mark of a half moon. Luna shares the same mark, but it is inverted and on her left shoulder instead. Normally, in the descendants of Eclipse, there is only one pup per litter that carries the mark of a moon. Those that carry the name of the moon must have a visible mark to have received it. Hence, Luna, Loon, and Crescent all have the names relating to the moon because they have a visible mark showing their relation to the moon and proving their descendants of Eclipse. Loon and Luna, being born of the same litter, are both 48 moon cycles old. They are 4 years old. Loon himself is not a character that was seen much in the start, and as the story itself is going to be focusing more around the cats and the lions with slight appearances from the wolves, I will give a bit more information into the personality of Ripple's family. Loon himself is a cautious yet kind wolf. So long as the situation won't cause harm to him or his family, he won't see the reason to hesitate to help someone in need. But if, say, the person that's needing help is a severe danger to his family, he won't hesitate to send whoever or whatever they are packing out of the territory, chase him off, send him as far away from his family as he can. A little bit of extra info on Loon himself is in relations to the mark that he and Luna share. The two, of course, were born in one litter, as I had said, with Luna being the older of the two. Their parents have passed, but when they were still alive, when the two were younger, they would often joke that they were two halves of a whole because they both shared the mark of the half moon. Their parents had interpreted it as because they both carried the mark of the half moon, which was uncommon for more than one pup to have it. No other litters prior to this had ever had it. This is the first time it had ever been seen to happen. So the parents had interpreted that potentially the two would play a part in a larger story. So they both were granted the half moon mark to show that they each had their own part. Two halves of a whole needed to complete something that would be coming in the future. Now, the biggest difference of standing out between Luna and Loon would be the coloration. Luna has a silvery gray coat color with white accents. She has what looks like two long white socks on her forepaws, or forelegs, and then on her hind paws, it looks as if just the toes or the tips of the paws themselves carry the white. Her belly is white, but it doesn't have the sharp fur tufts going into the rest of her fur like Ripple or Loon have. And her muzzle holds the same white as it would for Ripple. The two have slight coloration reference to Eclipse and the fact that Luna holds the white muzzle, but Loon has everything else from the chocolate fur to the same accents of white. Luna is extremely open-minded compared to how things would normally work because of the family she grew up in, because she is a descendant of Eclipse. She'll take things in stride with things that she learns or things that are thrown at her. She's always seemed to have wisdom beyond her years since she was a pup, so when it came to making the decision that would cause others to pause, she never hesitated to make the one that was most needed, yet also the most reckless. But because of it being a choice that others wouldn't take often, she often was speculated about, and that maybe she didn't know what she was doing. Though Luna let Ripple go with what seemed like ease after the dream visit from her ancestor, Eclipse, she always fears that she may never see her daughter again. She made the choice that was needed, and also what was Ripple's choice to try and go to help the Lines. It's also the most dangerous and reckless choice, knowing what would be coming in the future, or at least having an idea that something dangerous would befall. She wakes up in the middle of the night from nightmares, scenarios that cause her to worry that Ripple may die, and she won't know. All these things conjure in her mind, and when she wakes up in the middle of the night, she has to be soothed back to sleep by her mate, Ragnar. Now, Ragnar in his coloration has kind of a reddish-brown fur with gray accents. He has what looks like 3 socks on his 2 forelegs and his hind left leg. And looking at the reference sheet, I realized that I screwed up the hind legs in the coloration when I did it. I forgot to switch the paws when facing the left and right sides. The left leg is the one that's supposed to have the sock to it, while the right is supposed to just have the gray toes. And I kind of screwed that up. I'll have to go back and fix that. But he also has the gray accents at the tip of his tail, his ears, and around the base of the fur on his neck. Ragnar is slightly older than Luna and Loon by 4 moon cycles. His personality is that he is sturdy and firm, but he has a severely soft heart and is very doting to his family. Ragnar will constantly patrol the territory in his time away from the den to make sure that not even an unwanted mouse can slip past him into the territory or get near his mate and children. Yet when he is facing the children, his tough, fierce, and terrifying demeanor that is present when he is protecting the territory is absolutely non-existent. He is constant smiles and full of worry that one of his children were to trip when playing, and more like a nagging mother than Luna. Now, this part may be a scene that I write up later as an extra thing to put in one of the future chapter readings, but how Ragnar and Luna met was actually kind of random. Ragnar wasn't originally from the territories around where both Luna and Loon lived with their parents. He was all skin and bones when he came across their scent markings and collapsed before he could try to find them and make a request for food, water, or even shelter for a short while he regained his strength after having left his original pack. Upon waking up, Ragnar was in a warm cave den, and Luna was laying at his side, keeping watch over him and taking care of what wounds he had gathered while he was journeying. Noticing that he had woken up, she had placed a fresh rabbit in front of him and urged him to eat. When Ragnar's blue eyes had met Luna's worried green ones, he fell in love with her at first sight and never wanted to leave her side after that. Moving on to their 2 pups, Asher is the older of the 2, and his coat coloring takes after the coloration of his father in terms of the red tinted brown and the gray. Not all of the accents of the gray are going to be the same. He's actually the one that has the least resemblance and pattern to his parents. Both Crescent and Asher at the start of the story are 6 moon cycles old, the same age as Ripple. For his personality, Asher is mature but extremely impulsive. He tries his best to keep a steady and mature composure, but he has the tendency to act on impulse when his emotions spike to a high. So, especially when it came to sending Ripple to the forest, this was the main reason he had chosen to stay behind rather than see her off to her new home, and the off chance he caused some irreparable rift between the two because of his impulsive actions. Asher has the intention to take over the territory after his parents. The territory itself was passed down from one descendant of Eclipse to another. Now, while it does stay in the family, Luna and Loon are the only case of where two siblings actually stayed in the territory together. Usually one or multiple will leave off from the litter, go find their own place, make their own pack, and set up home there. Crescent will be the one that will set out because he's always been more of a free soul, and Asher doesn't want to put off the responsibility to having to take over the traditional home to Crescent. He doesn't feel like he would be at ease taking over it. Asher doesn't feel taking over the territory is a burden, though. For him, rather, it's his rock and reason for taking over and continuing a tradition that he is proud of. Moving on to Crescent, he shares the same coloration as his mother, and most of the accents are the same, except for the accent around his neck, which is something he inherited from his father's fur coat pattern. The other thing that stands out with Crescent would be, of course, the moon markings. He actually has 2 crescent moon markings, one under each of his eyes, like a teardrop mole on some people, basically. Crescent himself is observative, cautious, yet extremely firm and straightforward. Though he doesn't look like it, he is the most cautious of the 3 siblings and weighs every situation for pros and cons, which one would cause danger, which one would be safe. He comes across as a bubbly and outgoing wolf, but he's normally sizing up your every word, action, and more just to see what you could possibly be capable of and whether he should trust you and relax his guard slightly or whether he should be prepared to go for your throat. Now, for the little bit of extra info about Crescent, I'm not going to go into it too much because this will be something later on in the story that will be found out. But for Crescent, he places so much importance on protecting Ripple. Something happened when they were younger that came to the point where, to him, she is a lifeline that he's not willing to lose. I wonder why that is, though. What particularly happened when they were children for him to be so dependent and protective of her? For now, though, that is the end for character introductions. Until the next time I do this, when I have more ref sheets ready. Thank you all so much for choosing to click on this video and learn more about the characters, about their personality, their appearance, things like that. If you've made it this far, I very much appreciate you using your time to listen and see the work that I've created. I very much love these characters. I love this story and where it's going, and I really hope to continue it until the end. But for now, I'll go ahead and leave you guys to ponder over why these characters ended up the way they did, or what particularly could have happened in their past to lead to some of the situations that were described for them. But until the next time, for now, I will tell you, bye-bye.